'cause I die for you. You know I'd still die for you.
Sorry about that. Welcome to the Head of Personnel Guide. Now, this is essentially
a world premiere.
going to be a guide on the activities and the roles and responsibilities of Head of Personnel, what it entails, what it means, any tips and tricks. This will be in it. There will be a Redux version coming in the future, but I say that every video. But enjoy while you have this available to you. Now, initial controls. I'm assuming that you know the basics of controls, because if you don't, then I've got a video for that, but let me not, waste your time. There's not much that you really need to know that's new in terms of interactions on how Head of Personnel works. I don't know how Ian got out of his basket, but let's leave him in there. So controls wise, it's exactly the same as everything else. There's nothing unique or special. You won't need to use really any tools. A lot of your game is going to be spent with these things. It's your uniform printer, your P-Tech, and your ID card computer. Now, obviously, you'll be interacting with other departments and etc. So obviously, your headset will be very important. But when it comes to new and exciting ideas, not much really. In any case, I want to go over the different items that you have on you and that you can equip. So when you spawn in, this is everything default spawning. You're going to come in with your uniform. You're going to have a command headset. Now, just note that these are all the different commands for the different channels. You're going to be communicating with your fellow heads of departments with your command chat, and your department is service. A service department guide will come out in the future, probably the same day, if not tomorrow. But those are all the different channels that you can access. Now, in terms of things that come with your backpack, and again, excuse all this is just because I'm running my own local server. It's just your survival box, really nothing special. It's the basic. You're gonna also spawn with a standard issue, but the exciting thing about this is you got your own little Head of Personnel ID card. Now this ID card is going to become very well used. In any case, let's head over to the locker and see what all the goodies that we've got here. We've got an ID card box. Now this just has assistant cards, which can be, used for people who lose their cards. You can also have your PDA box here, which is, if you lose your PDA as well. Then you've got your spare shoes, your spare headset. You've got a disabler in your locker, which is important to note. So if you do need to defend yourself, there is a disabler in the locker. This is just something roleplay wise. You can set up a competition if you want. It's useless. You can wear it yourself if you really want to. But it really doesn't make much of a difference. In any case, you've got your extra cap. You've got your extra ID card. I'll talk about this a little bit later. There's something cool that you can do with that. Your cloak, which is a lot better than the metal and looks kind of sick. And you've got your rubber stamp. Now, of course, you're going to have, as Head of Personnel, you're going to have spares of everything. So here, as I've shown above, you've got your PDA and your card, and then also your headset, all spares. And then you've got your service door remote, which comes standard for, each individual head of department. For you, it's a service door remote. For your head of security, it's your security door remote. And then you've got your encryption key box. Again, quite self-explanatory. Service encryption key for anyone joining service. Now that that's out of the way, we can get to the how-to part of the guide, where I will now just demonstrate to you the different machines and the different things that you do with the machines to fulfill your role as Head of Personnel. Well, let's start with the uniform printer. Now, here is essentially if you have someone who's transferring to a new department and they need, a uniform. Let's just say someone's applying to become a cargo tech, right? They're going to need 800 cloth while you've got a lot of cloth here, and then you just make it for them. Now, for some people, they're going to need DuraThread, and there's also DuraThread here which you can put in. And so if you have a new chief engineer, for example, you can waiting, print it out. Voila. So when you do transfer someone to a new department, you can print out uniforms. Sometimes you'll also have people coming over who will request for uniforms to be printed. That's also a thing that that people like to do. If you have a look over here in this vending machine, here you've also got your assistant PDAs, you've got your clear PDAs, you've got your ID cards, you know, everything that was kind of in there and a little bit more. And you've also got your extra approved and denied, extra paper, and most importantly, you've got your different encryption keys for when you're transferring someone over. So you can give them the cargo encryption key. Now, important to note that each department head will have their own box of encryption keys. So as I've said, your head of security will have using head of security again, they have a security encryption box which will have about 5 encryption keys for the security, you know, communication line. Now, your most important part of the job is your ID card computer. Now, this is what a majority of people are going to come to you. They're going to want to change departments. They're going to want to just become an assistant. Maybe they want a demotion or a promotion, or someone's doing what, or this is happening. Either way, you are in charge of everyone getting to their destination in terms of the system. You are the bureaucratic link in the fence, you know. How this machine works is you're going to need to have a privileged ID, then you're going to have a target ID. Now, in my case, just because I'm playing by myself, I'm going to use this extra ID card as an example. So what, you know, standard case, someone's going to walk up and they're going to say, hey, Hop, I want to transfer to whatever. And then if you approve them, then they're going to give you their ID card. You're going to take it and you are going to put it in the machine. Now, this here, it's going to slot into privileged ID, but most of the time it probably won't, because you are going to be wanting to put in your ID card first. So your ID card is the privileged ID, and then whoever you're changing with the ID, you're putting in next. Now, here will probably be their full name on their ID. Because this is the spare ID, it doesn't have my full name. It's also got the job title of what the ID is set to. So in this instance, it's head of personnel. If it was, I know I've had people come up to me and ask, can they change their job title? One person, they were a forensic mantis. They wanted to be named detective, right? So it's kind of, it's just RP. The more important stuff, however, is when it comes to the job presets. So here you can set to assistant, which I've got obviously 0 roles. You can also go to a botanist. I'm just going to go and find head of personnel again, because it's, you know, my spare card. And so essentially, say someone's changing departments. So you've got someone, they are currently a janitor and they want to change to engineering. And let's just say you approve them. Well, you've got the janitor preset. You're going to go all the way down to, where is station engineer? There it is. Voila. There we are. Now their job title has changed. Their permissions have changed. And you can then eject their card back to them. And then I just need to equip that so I can open up this. And then there you go, station engineer. Now that'll only give access to station. I don't want this to be a station engineer right now though, so I'm just going to put my card back. And I'm bot. And then I'm going to just change it all the way back to head of personnel. Head of personnel is not only just HOP, right, which is the common abbreviation. HOP is also the head of service, and service is essentially, and this is a little bit of a simplification, But service is essentially everything that isn't the other departments. Now that is excluding the silicone department and the antag department and command, which is technically a department. But just ignore that and just focus on like the main departments that you commonly see. Silicone is literally just the robots, and antag is, you know, your nuclear operatives or your traitors or your anomalies or your rat king. You know, that's you know, you don't really have to classify as a department, but it's just a broad generalization. In any case, if you want to learn more about service as a department, you can learn about that in my service department guide. In any case, so as the head of service, you have to manage the different, you know, sub departments of service. Assistants fall under service as an example, but you aren't really in charge of all assistants. I mean, on paper you are, because they are under service, but it's not your job to run around chasing assistants, telling them to behave. Okay, the main departments that you need to kind of keep tabs on, apart from the other departments, I'll get to that a little bit later, but is you want to make sure your janitors are doing their work. You want to make sure that your quartermasters, so your cargo department, is working all fine. Your mail carriers as well, and your bartenders giving out drinks. Your cooks are making stuff, and your botanists are helping the chefs and chemistry, etc. Those are the main ones that you really have to worry about. The others are less important. You're not going to be micromanaging a clown, okay? You've got bigger fish to fry. But it is important to just check in and, you know, kind of not micromanage, but just keep track of that your important department, you know, mini departments such as your janitor, your cargo, your mail, your kitchen, your bartender, and your botanist are kind of, botanist less important, are kind of doing what they're supposed to do. Your main job, however, will be a mixture of helping out the other departments in terms of the paperwork kind of stuff, as well as, you know, your ID cards, etc., etc. But don't forget that you are a head of department, okay? They kind of all are equally important in some way. In any case, now let's get to the tips. Now, a quick general tip that is important to note is the receiving of cards. You're going to have some people that are going to try and sneak into Hop, because Hop is quite valuable because you can get all access. That is something I also want to touch on a little bit later. When you are receiving a card, what you want to do is, if they're going to put it down, you're going to want to open up, you want to take it. So in this case, let's just put that down there. So they're gonna take it, and then they're gonna put it down. So when receiving a card, you want to open up, take it, and close as quick as possible, right? That's really the ideal, because you're gonna have people that are gonna try and sneak in. I've had clowns who put a bar of soap over there in the front, and then they, as soon as I open up, they try and run in and they try and like slip in, you know, slide through and get into Hop's office. Extremely frustrating, okay? It's so irritating, but that, you know, everyone always targets Hop to do shit to. It's, you know, like, Hop is always bombed by syndicates. It's such a valuable place to bomb. In any case, so you have to be careful. So you just want to take the card as quick as possible. You want to just open up, take X, close again, and then you're safe. Then what you do is you take out your ID card, you put it in the machine. Then you take your target card, you put it in the machine. That way you know that your privilege ID. Then you want to take out your privilege ID, put it in your PDA. Once you've, you know, done your process, you want to take out your target ID, and then you can open up and put down again. Now it's important to realize that if you don't have your ID card in if you don't have your ID card on you, you see, you're not going to be able to do anything. So it's always important to remember to just put it back, and then you can close up your windows again. Just always put it back into your PDA for safekeeping. Another tip is you don't want to give yourself all access, and there are several reasons for that, and I will explain into that further. I just want to give a shout out to Quillaby, asked him Quigley, Quigley, or otherwise known as Quigbly. There's multiple ways to say the name, but thank you again to Quillaby. A big thank you out to Quillaby, or otherwise pronounced Quigley or Quigbly. They said that, you know, different people say it different ways, but the rest of these tips here are brought to you by them, and big shout out to them. Thank you so much for all the extra tips. I asked them just for some kind of guidelines because they experienced with HOP. So here are some tips that they gave. Don't forget, as I've also mentioned, don't forget that you're a head of service department, that they have to check up on your department. They also say that you must check your crew manifest often, right? Because then you can kind of check which departments are staffed and understaffed and overstaffed as well, because you don't want to be sending people to overstaffed departments. You also, another thing to note is that when you are sending people to departments, it's always good faith and good to ask the person that you're sending the department to, the head of that department, if it's okay that they have another person. So if you're sending someone over to head of security, or, you know, if you're transferring someone over to security, you ask security, say, hey, are you guys accepting any, you know, transfers in? I've got someone that wants to become a cadet or something. Then they'll say yes or no. And then you kind of say, okay, sorry, the department's full right now, or the head of security isn't taking any more people, right? You'll find that heads of departments do not appreciate when you send people over already transferred. No one likes that. I don't like that. So just be a nice guy and just send some, you know, pre-notice. When you aren't busy, use your extended headset, you know, your command headset, and try and help with bringing the departments together. So monitoring also as well as how they're doing. So just keep track of your radio and see if you can kind of, say someone brought up saying, you know, security requested EPI, you know, just say, and they haven't gotten a response back, just say, EPI, how's it going? I know that security requested, you know, there was an anomaly in Perma. Have you guys sent over an API yet? They'll say yes or no. You know, just try and help out with the exchange of words. You know, don't be annoying, but just try and, you know, bring the departments closer. You know, your job isn't only going to be handling transfers or access. It's also going to be sometimes complaining. You're head of personnel. You are a person that should be relied upon to bring complaints about or criticisms of, questions or help that's needed. You know, try and help. You're sitting here, you know, you're going to have a queue of people, but, you know, everyone waits in queue for you. Just try and help people as well as you can. Also, when it comes to permission giving, and I said I was going to talk about this, you don't want to give yourself all access without a reason, you know, like without it being necessary or it's an emergency, right? It's against protocol. And also, say someone comes and steals your ID card off of you, or gets into your office and steals your card away from you. That person is now going to have all access. That's including captain's access. Remember, with these cards, you can give a card, any card, all of the, like, everything on the ship, every single access you can give it. Do you know how dangerous that is for, like, a Cindy or a Nuki or anything? So don't give yourself all access for no reason, because it can be misplaced, and it has been misplaced in the past. Don't break protocol. If someone robs you, they'll have access around the entire station. Head of security will literally skin you alive. When it comes to asking for certain permissions as well, say for instance maintenance tunnels, you don't have to ask your chief engineer if you know someone can have access to maintenance tunnels, but if you do, there's no harm in it, I suppose, but you don't need their permission really. It all relies on common sense, you know. If someone's asking for security permission and it's the clown wanting permission, you know, like for externals or captain, you're not going to give the clown all access, you know. Just use your common sense. If someone wants, for instance, to become, just wants access to like chef, to kitchen, for example. Let's just say someone wants access, you ask them why. They say, the chefs are doing a really shit job and I want to help them out, you know? Like, you can ask your kitchen, say, how's it going, guys? What's going on? You know? What? Like, in any case, I'm going off topic. Try to use your common sense, but don't be like rude and say no to everything, okay? You know, have a little bit of fun with it, you know, allow some things here. I had a reporter once come up to me and say, I would like access to maintenance tunnels because the average assistant doesn't get to see the maintenance tunnels, and I'm trying to educate the average layperson. So please, I want to report stories on like maintenance. You know, initially I said no, but they were persistent. I was like, you know, what are the harms really? Like, you know, just have a little bit of fun. And eventually I would start getting faxes sent through like daily news reports. So it was kind of nice, you know. In any case, you aren't obligated to give access. You can if you want to. There are certain things that you can do to maybe make someone's, you know, progression to getting access a little bit harder. You can ask them to get stamps from different, you know, heads if you want. There are multiple different ways that you can roleplay as you know, head of personnel. I know that I kind of enjoy making people get stamps. So if they want to transfer, I'll tell them, you know, get the head of security stamp or get the warden stamp or something, you know, something interesting, you know, because it's kind of fun to use your, you know, kind of fun to use your stamps, you know. But in any case, just it's at the end of the day, you know, head of personnel is a very heavy role-playing role, but it also requires a little bit of common sense and a little bit of cautiousness, you know. Remember, when the captain is killed or gets SSD or something happens where they are unable to continue duties, you become you become next in charge. Now, the succession law of it is that you become the new captain, but it isn't because you're above the rest of the other heads. It's because you have the least amount of duties. It's kind of weird, but just know that you are a head of a department and that you don't take orders from other heads of departments. So when people get a little bit bossy and a little bit, you know, shovey, say do this, do that, just remember you are head of a department. No one can tell you what to do except for the captain, right? When it comes to being a good head of department, just be ready in the office. You know, the office is your home. Please don't be getting drunk by the bar or wandering around in salvage for some reason. You know, just keep on, just communicate from your office. You can take breaks, but not long breaks, please. Usually people need a hop. Don't disregard your service department and don't abuse your power. Please don't have an ego trip as hop, okay? That's the most annoying thing. It's frankly just, it's cringe, to be honest with you. It's horrible. A majority of hop is just kind of relying on common sense. When in doubt, just look at the Wikipedia, the Nyano Tracen Wikipedia. There's a head of personnel page that can help you with kind of making decisions. When in doubt, consult your command. When in doubt, consult relevant heads of departments. When in doubt, just consult your captain and say, hey, what should I do here? At the very least, okay? Don't consult them about everything. You know, if, like I said, if a reporter comes up asking for maintenance access, don't ask the captain, hey, what should I do? And then go like, head of security, what should I do? Mr. Gog, what should I do? You know, like, okay, be a little bit of a free thinker, but at the same time, if you're giving a clown all access, okay, it's funny for a minute, and then it's like, it's low role playing, you know? It's just detrimental to the station. Don't be a dickhead, okay? Other than that, there's really not much more to add to this guide. A more extensive look at service as a department will be, you know, as I've said, in the video that's coming out. But in any case, enjoy your time as head of department, head of personnel, and I hope to see you in another game. Cheers.